Within you, there's an inner truth that is surfacing, that is trying to come out. And that is because, for some reason, it has been encapsulated, it has been trapped, it has been put into a container that doesn't fit or doesn't allow it to expand and be its truest form, so to speak, right? This, we're talking about ultimately your spirit and how it is confined and restricted by your limiting beliefs, such as religion, doctrines, the way you were brought up, negative thought patterns, negative beliefs that aren't productive and supportive and in alignment with who you truly are. And so as we go on this journey of spirituality, what we are really doing is we are going on the journey of allowing our spirit to be in a place where it can be free, where it can take on its natural form or shape. The problem is, though, society, from the very beginnings of our conception, when we were children, teenagers, and even now, has molded and shaped our minds subconsciously to believe certain things as if they are truth. But ultimately, truth is the thing that is really speaking to you and letting you know that these societal truths that were programmed and instilled within you are not compatible with who you truly are. Your job is to figure out what is your truth. And though, yes, we can talk about fundamental truths or universal laws, the most important truths are your own individual truths. That is what's going to set you free. That is what's going to release you from the box that you have been restricted to, right? The box of religion, the box of culture and feeling like, oh, you are of this culture, so therefore you can't do this particular thing. The box of identifying with a particular gender role, right? The box of feeling like you are supposed to do this because your parents told you to. You have to recognize that all of those structures, all of those paradigms may not be in your best interest. They don't serve you. And so you have to identify those things in order for you to dismantle those boxes and let yourself free. And that's what this journey is about. You see, religion itself is a box, right? And you have to understand that you are an infinite being, an infinite spiritual being. And oftentimes religion attempts to trap you, right? And so when you think about that, think about it in terms of trying to captivate something infinite and trying to put it in a container. It isn't possible to do so, but yet we have been brought up to believe, right, subconsciously, unconsciously, that we are supposed to take this container, which is your infinite consciousness, your soul, your spirit, and put it in the container of religion. Put it in the container of this culture. Put it in the container of even this race or even this part of the world, even this nationality, right? This gender. And you have to understand, though, maybe those things can be valid and they can be important, but they should not ultimately define who you truly are on a conscious spiritual level. You must recognize your consciousness and who you are on a spiritual level first before you begin to lay down the bricks of those kinds of labels and identity. You see, because they are supposed to express who you truly are. You're not supposed to take your infinite intelligence, right, that divinity, and you're not supposed to take that and place it, right? You're not supposed to take that round circle and place it into a square hole. You're supposed to do the opposite. You're supposed to understand who you are and then make sure everything else aligns with who you are. Not that you align with everything else, you see? So it's important to recognize your infinite beingness and that you cannot be captured in a finite thing. You cannot take something like infinite space and put it into a definition. You cannot put it into a capsule, something that is going to keep it intact. The universe is constantly expanding. That says something, because you have to understand that you are a direct reflection of the universe. And so if the universe is constantly expanding, then you must be constantly expanding as well. And so part of the issue of you not feeling fulfillment, joy, or you're feeling a sense of disconnection and you're feeling lost, you're not feeling like, you're feeling like things aren't quite right, is because you're probably trying to put yourself in this box, in this container that doesn't match who you are, or you're trying to just put yourself in a box altogether. So you need to understand that the box, though it can be interesting and it can be fascinating to be intrigued by, to study, right? Just like religion, it has wisdom, it has knowledge, it has insight. But to put your infinite essence into that structure alone will prevent you from being free. You see, it will prevent you from being able to express yourself to the fullest capability, to tap into that full and unlimited potentiality. Your job is to understand that you are infinite. Even when it comes in terms of our physical bodies, which can be seen as a capsule, right? It can be seen as a vessel, right, that holds us. We are housed within this vessel called the body. Even when you think in terms of that, your body continues to change. You see, your body from the very beginning, even in this conception, is an expression of your consciousness. It is an expression of who you are. And as you grow into life, as you are a child, an infant, a toddler, adolescent, teenager, adult, you are constantly, your body that is constantly changing based on your consciousness and where you are mentally, spiritually, and otherwise. So it is an expression of your consciousness. It is evolving with your consciousness. So as you expand on a conscious level, your body is adapting to that. Just like if you connect with eating better, treating yourself better, taking care of your body, being more fit, the environments you are constantly around, your body adapts according to that state of mind that you're in, that level of consciousness, that frequency, that vibration that you're in, and you're constantly surrounded by. So again, your body, though it can be considered a capsule, it is still changing with you. It is adapting to your consciousness, your true self. And even at some point, the body cannot maintain, right, housing us. This is why we transition. This is why we pass away. This is why we die. Because eventually, over the course of time, right, your body just will not be able to maintain the spiritual essence of who you are. We're only here for a short time. And even during that short time, the vessel, the capsule, which is called your body, is evolving and adapting to you the best way it can. If you are properly taking care of that body, then it will be able to do that for a longer period of time. But even for the most healthiest person, the most fittest person in the world, they will reach a point where their capsule is not fit, right? Is not able to hold or house your consciousness. And that is when you evolve, ascend, right? Ascend to another reality, another phase where you perhaps may be capsulated by another kind of body or box, right? So you must understand that even in terms of what is natural to us and what we're here to experience, right? To have a human experience, that is temporary because our spirit is infinite. So the very nature of our existing here cannot captivate, it cannot house, it cannot shelter the true essence of who you are, because who you are is infinite. So therefore, that is why we cannot be here, forever. We have to ascend. We have to evolve. We have to continue to expand upon our experience. We have to continue to grow. And so you have to bring it back in a practical way in terms of why you are here. You have to consider and think about the reality that your consciousness needs to be in a space where it can continue to expand. It needs to be that you cultivate the environment for you to continue to grow and not set yourself up where you are locked in place, right? Because that's just not possible for you. And so when you think about yourself, think about you being literally, think about you in your body being in a box, right? Many of us are claustrophobic. So you probably can understand this if you are. You're in a box. The box is tight. Okay. Now, because you are in this box, you are feeling restricted. You are feeling agitated. You're feeling annoyed. You're feeling fearful. You are feeling a sense of doom, right? Danger, right? You're feeling like even like you're suffocating. This is essentially symbolic, metaphorical for what it is you are going through when you are attaching yourself to a religion that doesn't resonate with you, right? People who they're not on the same frequency as you, right? Continuing to work a job that doesn't align with your true purpose, being in a toxic relationship where you're not supportive or supporting your partner. So when you recognize, okay, now you are seeing this box, okay, you're recognizing the box that you're placing yourself in, you understand why you feel a sense of loss, feel agitated, feel annoyed, feel frustrated, feel unhappy. And it's because you are not meant to be in such a box. You are meant to be free. Okay? You cannot capture something infinite within something finite. You must let yourself free. So understand that spirituality, the irony of it is spirituality is an open space, right? Which leaves you full. Whereas when you think about things like religion that often puts you in a box, right? It leaves you cramped. And so in that case, you feel empty because you're not being your truest self. You're not allowing yourself the free range to actually be your truest self because you are allowing yourself to be capsulated, stuck, restricted in these sets of rules or these ideas that somebody else has placed on you. So remember, I'm not saying that religion is bad. What I'm saying is when you allow yourself to only identify with that, you are following the rules to a T. You are only doing that without allowing yourself the free range to explore and be your most authentic self. Then you are restricting yourself and you are putting yourself in a place where you will always feel unfulfilled because that isn't your natural state. Your natural state is freedom. Your natural state is being open, right? To expanding. And so when you're not doing that, that is when emotions like anger, frustration, right? Resentment comes about. It comes about in many ways. It comes about when you are not identifying what it is that's happening. And so you are just having outbursts toward everyone and everything because you are unhappy. You know, that person who is constantly grouchy, upset, frustrated. They haven't took the time to practice self-awareness and recognize where that is coming from, but they instead blame it on everyone and everything else. But it's really them. Remember, how you view the world and experience the world, the universe is a reflection of how you view yourself. So if you think everybody's to blame or everybody's at fault for your unhappiness, your anger, your sadness, then it's really, you need to actually look within and recognize that it is you. You see, and this isn't about blame. This is just simply about taking ownership so that way you can make a shift and you can change. And when you make that shift and change, then you take, the next steps toward actually creating a space where you feel happy, joy, right? Peace. But you have to recognize what's going on within you, right? And then another level of that is recognizing, okay, yes, it is me identifying with the religion that has caused me, right? This pain, this suffering, this anger, this resentment. But then you have to let go of blaming the religion, understanding that there is wisdom there. It's just that how it was taught to you, right? How you received it wasn't in alignment with who you are. And so instead of blaming religion or blaming the minister or the pastor or the preacher, let that go and recognize that you can now take full responsibility for your spiritual journey and your spiritual evolution. You know, and again, it's not just about religion. It is about any kind of limiting beliefs, right? Because even if we step outside of religion, we can still apply that to how your parents raised you, right? The belief systems, if they were limiting belief systems, right? We're not rich. We don't have this. We don't have that. Or you're the man, you're the woman, you're supposed to do this, right? If you have all of these ideas that were instilled in you that you recognize are counterproductive toward who you truly are or desire to be, then you see the connection between these limiting beliefs, whether it be religion or simply just belief systems that you identified were instilled within you as you were a child. But the point is, it's not about blaming the religion. It's not about blaming the pastor, the preacher. It's not about blaming your parents, right? The reality is all of those people did the best that they could with what they had, right? Even if their intention was intentional, right? Even if their harm upon you was intentional, the reality is they still did the best with what they had. They just did not have the ability to recognize empathy, compassion, love, and how that reflects upon them, right? They didn't have the ability to understand the importance of seeing themselves in you, seeing God in you, seeing God in themselves. So therefore, they only saw, right, the villain. They saw bad in everything because they see bad in themselves. So you have to understand that it's not about them, right? Do not put your energy toward blaming the thing or the people. Take ownership and recognize, okay, now is the time where I can let that all go, free myself from it, and forgive myself for having that experience in the first place. And then the next thing is forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't only apply to forgiving religion or forgiving the pastor or the preacher or forgiving your parents or forgiving that person who did that thing. It's also and mainly and most importantly about forgiving yourself. You see, because on the spiritual journey, a lot of times what we often do is we experience and we understand, we tap into this wisdom, we tap into this knowledge. And then it gets to a point where we wished we had learned this earlier, right? We are upset because what if I knew this when I was a child, when I was a teenager, right? When I was in my 20s, when I was going to college, when I was, trying to find a partner before I got married, before I had kids. What if I taught this to my kids? You see, there's a lot of what ifs and a feeling of regret, right? Or anger just simply because we should have known this information back then. And now you're starting to tap into it feeling like you are, a little bit late, right? You're a little bit behind, but you're not. You're exactly where you're supposed to be because all of those things happened, right? In support of you finding this very moment, being in this very moment. So you have to understand the importance of emphasizing forgiveness. Forgiveness is the thing that's going to free you, right? Forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the thing, forgiveness of yourself is the tool that is going to free you, all right? Not excusing anything, but just simply taking ownership and letting it go, moving beyond it, moving past it, all right? So don't wish you knew this before. Now you know it. So then just continue to move forward, continue to allow yourself to expand, to grow, right? Resist and be able to identify when there is a container, a capsule, a box, right, that you're trying to be molded into, right? Because sometimes we do that to ourselves. We do that to ourselves because of the nature of communication, right? Speaking, we have to use words to communicate with each other, right? So you may say things like, I'm spiritual, not religion. Okay, religious. What does that mean? Okay, for me, I'm vegan. I'm into fitness. Right? What does that mean? So it's easy because we're saying those words so often that we get attached and identified with those things. We naturally put those things in a box. And sometimes some boxes we want to put ourselves into, you know, but it's important to identify it. And it's very important to identify which box does not serve us. And if we're going to put ourselves in a box, make sure we don't lock ourselves in a box, because then that prevents you from the opportunity to expand, to grow. So recognize that, allow yourself to be the infinite being that you are, and do not trap yourself into a finite box, because it will only result in anger, frustration, sadness, depression, right? Remember, you are infinite, so you have to allow yourself to be that. And then all of the infinite opportunities, the abundance, the joy will naturally come your way. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, get access to this free ebook, and so much more. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.